Usually I start with the above ground ones. So this is mullen. She's had some damage from the frost, but she's right smack dab on the edge of the bed. In her second year, she's gonna become this huge stalk. I'm sure you've seen them everywhere. And so this one will be the first to go. And I would go along and I'd take out all the mullens. So this is pretty simple. You could pull it out by the root, but I'm actually just gonna take this. Well, it's gonna come out by the root anyways. So this is the medicine part, right? This part's already kind of on its way down, and it can go an altar of decay, right? And this goes in our basket. This is coming back with us. And of course, mullen is the incredible lung healer, and also good for bones, and good for the cell matrix, so the reformation of our cells. So the next ones that we're going to address here is these evening primrose. And, unlike tilling, which mixes everything up when you have a rototiller, or with a plow just turns everything upside down, that doesn't actually have to happen. If you're doing things by hand, you can be very selective about what you're doing. And you can actually just go through like I just did, and you're loosening things, and then you're pulling them out. So there's a lovely evening primrose. And evening primrose is exquisite food. Exquisite, high-end, crazy, beautiful food. These lovely things. When you cook them, this rosette's all edible, but also I'll show you this thing. Is if you kind of slowly take the leaves off, there's actually kind of like this pink rosette that forms. You can see it starting to come in. You can't pull too many off at once or it doesn't work. But that lovely top part is all so tender and so sweet. So this is true of carrots and everything too, is a lot of the medicine's all right up here. So when you're cutting them off to prepare them, you don't cut them here. You just gently take the leaves off, and then the whole thing is cooked. And I take these little ones off. Okay? But usually I don't do any of this out in the field. It all just goes into the basket. I would leave the rougher leaves here. So that's a clover that came out as a consequence of being in too close. And actually, it's a little bit hard to see them, but those are the nitrogen fixing nodules. They just look like little clumps of dirt on the side of the roots. Yeah, so that one's going in there. These are going in here. And we'll just continue to go through this area. There's a primrose. Another primrose. Another primrose. So this is just preparing a bed. And we've already got enough food to last us for the day, if that's what we were looking for. Very high potency food. The evening primrose is. Let's see a few other things in here. Dandelions, which are really super good for you. And also edible, tea plants or... Now see these, I kind of, if I was in a more desperate place, I would keep these. But because I actually have quite an abundance of this plant, that would be about the smallest I'd keep. If you're roasting stuff too, it has to be a certain size or it just dries up. You know, these fellas all packed in together. That's a good one. Another good one. There's a small mullen. That can go out. Goldenrods, they can go out, out. And then over here, this little frilly one. Let's see where it's all coming from. Coming from here, so right in with that dandelion. Primrose. And then here you have the ancestor of our modern carrot, right? You can probably smell it. I don't know if you can smell it. Oh, we have some helpers here. Come to see what's going on. No, it's not.
Smells like carrot.
Yeah, it is a carrot.
Oh, it's a carrot.
But this is the Queen Anne's lace, which is medicine. It's actually was the most common birth control in Europe for many hundreds of years, because it doesn't make you infertile. It can be used after the fact or as a preventative. That's the seeds from when it's, she's produced her head. This is the first year, so before it shot up its seed stalk. And as you could smell, this is just a carrot, just like a carrot. And all carrots were white. And I think it was the King of France there at one point who produced an orange carrot, and then that became the standard, right, for all these things. That's just a wild carrot, as they would say. And then there is some kind of grass here that's coming in on the edge of the bed. And is not welcome. Because grass generally, it has a way of taking over the surface nutrients of an area. And so grass is one of those ones that has to come fully out. But then again, it's not a destructive act, because I'm feeding it back to the earth, right? It's an offering I'm making as opposed to a taking. And I know it's a funny little shift in the mind between the two. You're still doing the same exact thing, but you're thinking about it in a different way. When you think about things in a different way, it shifts the meaning of everything, right? And suddenly you don't start seeing yourself as this destructive force, but as a creative force and a co-creative force, because this is a big dance that you have to do. The grass keeps coming back and you keep knocking it back, and that's part of the deal. And of course the irony is we brought the grasses too here, the Europeans. Almost all the native grasses were bunch grasses, so they grew in bunches. They didn't have the rhizomes, and so they were much easier to get rid of and much less aggressive. But in our colonial wake as we came here, all these plants came with us, including the grass. Some people call this twitch grass, but the roots of it can be used for food. So, let's see here if we get some good ones. Not so robust, but sometimes you'll get big white grass roots, and these can actually be pounded into flour. The grass itself is big medicine. So for urinary tract, Culpeper, who was one of the first herbalists, talked about this grass. It was one of his, top plants. So in the wake of our destruction, these healers from the earth are being constantly offered to heal our mess. But then we don't see them. And we have like a multi-billion-dollar industry in North America to get rid of dandelions that are one of those healers that come in to heal the land and to bring balance to the people who have cleared the land, because the dandelions work with your liver, which is one of the things that we almost all need these days. So, we've got enough food here for a good little root feast. And of course the earth's giving us exactly what we need when we need it. In the fall, you need roots. You need roots to get you through the winter. You need those heavy carbohydrates to fight the cold so your body can work with the cold. In the summer and in the spring, it's more greens, right? It's aerial things. Because you don't need to generate the heat, as much heat. And you don't need to store stuff because you can just go out and forage every day. So over and over again, you can see this thing that she's giving us exactly what we need. She's there for us. We just have to pay more attention.